All right, let's get started. Today, I'm going to share with you how you can get PPP expenses forgiven if you're self-employed. You're not going to want to miss this. You heard right. 25% of your PPP loan can be used for approved business expenses and be completely forgiven if you have the proper documentation when applying for forgiveness. What expenses are eligible for forgiveness? What documentation will you need when applying for forgiveness? I'm going to share with you the answers you need to know and the most important things to consider about your money. If you haven't seen my first video all about the PPP for self-employed and how you can use it to pay yourself, then watch that after watching this, because you must use the majority of these funds for payroll in order to get forgiveness. Now, there are 3 designated business expenses eligible for forgiveness if used for at most 25% of your PPP loan. Number 1, utilities. This includes payments for electricity, gas, water, transportation, telephone, and internet related to your business. Number 2, rent. This includes lease payments related to your business, and we'll get into later how a home office setup could apply. And number 3, mortgage interest. This does not include the principal, the taxes, nor the insurance. It's just the interest part of your business mortgage payment. To be clear, the money available for this part of your PPP loan is limited to at most 25%. In terms of forgiveness. How much money will be forgiven is going to vary from person to person. This means even though the federal government presents this like a forgivable loan, each person is in charge of doing their own math and providing the necessary documentation when applying for forgiveness. For example, some self-employed individuals can claim a deduction for using their car or truck for business purposes. But this gets complicated because the SBA hasn't issued enough guidance yet to say for sure what transportation expenses will be forgiven. I'll include a link down below with information about claiming your car for business purposes. Let me be clear when I say that the accounting necessary to provide proof of these business expenses is enormous. I was overwhelmed at times preparing to explain all this to you, and I'm the guy on YouTube known for being concise and clearly explaining things. What I'm trying to say is if you haven't filed your taxes yet, then it's a good idea to work with a tax professional about how you can claim these deductions, both for the purpose of PPP forgiveness, but also to help you in the future with your taxes. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about rent and mortgage interest if you're self-employed and work from home. There is something called home office deduction if you use part of your home regularly and exclusively for business. This doesn't have to be a separate room or a space like a garage or a basement, but it can be. Essentially, it's a dedicated corner of space or a little nook in your living room. Specifically, it's a place where no one else uses it besides you for any other reason besides for your business. So, can you get a portion of your PPP loan forgiven using the home office deduction? The answer is yes, but be prepared with exacting calculations and proof when you go to file for forgiveness. For example, the regular method for calculating your home office deduction is where you use a separate IRS form 8829. This form helps you figure out the business use percentage for your actual cost. That includes the utilities, the rent, the mortgage interest, all based on the square footage of your home office compared to your total home. If you're confused, just think of this form 8829 like a worksheet where you do all your calculations, then get a percentage. That percentage flows to your Schedule C when you claim all your business expenses. There is another simplified option, and that is one of those safer, less complicated methods. The simplified option lets you claim $5 per square foot for the portion of your home used for business, up to a maximum of 300 square feet. Meaning on an annual basis, you can claim up to $1,500 for home office expenses. Now, this is a bit disheartening, right? Because remember that PPP is money you can use for up to 8 weeks worth of expenses. Therefore, if your annual maximum deduction is only $1,500, then you can only spend up to $230 or so using the PPP money and then get it forgiven. Now, I can't believe I just did all that math and research for only $230 worth of forgiveness. However, if you want to try the regular method, you may be able to forgive a larger portion. For example, to use this regular method, you'll need to calculate the space in your home used for business regularly and exclusively. Again, these calculations are on that IRS Form 8829, and the most reasonable method to do this is something called the area method, where you divide the area used for business by the total area of your home. For example, let's say your home is 1,500 square feet, and your home office is 500 square feet. Your home office space is going to be 30% of the total area of your home. Now, you essentially get to itemize all of the expenses you're looking at, like the utilities, the rent, the mortgage interest, by that percentage. I understand all these steps seem complicated, and believe me, I think they're complicated too. But once you have this percentage, you can use a portion of your PPP to pay these expenses, get your loan forgiven, and in the future, you can use the same percentage again on your taxes moving forward. Hopefully that last part made sense, because filling out the loan forgiveness application isn't as straightforward as we would all want it to be. And getting all this paperwork together is challenging. Sorry if I lost anyone. When you're filling out the application, just come back and rewatch this part of the video. Now, in terms of what documentation you need when you apply for forgiveness, remember that the magic number is 3. 1, you're going to need documentation showing the business expense was in existence before February 15th, 2020. This just means something showing that you were already obligated to pay before the health crisis. 2, receipts or canceled checks verifying you paid the business expense during the eligible covered period, those 8 weeks. That means an email confirmation saying you paid your utility, for example, for the months you were supposed to use the PPP funds. And 3, account statements verifying you spent the PPP money. Again, this is where that newly established bank account just for your PPP money helps keep everything nice and clean. I'll leave links to a couple of online banks where you can set up accounts to help keep track of all your PPP expenses. Now, when the bank is looking over all your documentation, I want you to make their evaluation process simple and straightforward. For your utilities, you get together all the billing statements from February 2020 to June 2020 for each utility you paid with PPP money. Also, you get a receipt of payment and statements from the accounts where you paid those utilities each month. Same goes for the business rent or mortgage interest. You have the current lease or lender amortization schedule, receipt of payment like an email confirmation you can download or print out, and statements showing you paid the specific amounts on the dates within your eligible covered period. All of this is going to be in addition to the forgiveness application, which has 2 main parts: the PPP loan forgiveness calculation form and the PPP Schedule A. Okay, let's recap. The self-employed can use up to 25% of their PPP loan for approved business expenses and get that amount forgiven, so long as the rest of the money was used for appropriate payroll and they have proper documentation. The forgiveness application is a bit complicated, yet it clearly lays out that utilities, rent, and mortgage interest are forgivable. Utilities include electricity, gas, water, transportation, telephone, and internet related to your business. We are hoping to get more guidance on areas like transportation in the weeks to come. These eligible expenses, including rent and mortgage interest, may require some calculations if you work primarily from home and have a dedicated space for business. Using either the regular method or the simplified option, you can calculate the amount of your home you're allowed to claim for business purposes. Unfortunately, this may prove to be a very small amount for some, while others may find that they're able to claim more than they originally thought possible. Either way should be beneficial for the future, as you'll be able to continue to claim these business expenses on your taxes moving forward. But please prepare yourself for some confusion and uncertainty while you're getting your numbers and documentation in order. The bank has 60 days to review your forgiveness application, so it's a very good idea to get 3 pieces of information whenever claiming forgiveness: proof that you had a business obligation to pay before February 15th, 2020, such as invoices or billing statements, receipt payments for all eligible expenses within that 8-week covered period, and account statements showing you used the PPP funds from your bank account. This form of triplicate documentation should help you get all your eligible expenses forgiven. Also, keep in mind that you cannot back pay any business expenses, nor can you pay ahead or in advance. You can only use the money for those 8 weeks if you are seeking forgiveness. All right, let's wind this thing down. Wow, that was intense, and I mean that. When I was doing this research, page after page just got a little more confusing, and I had to go back and have one tab open here, and by the end I had like 50 tabs going. When the forgiveness application came out, I thought it was helpful at first, but now I see just how enormous and complicated this is going to be. So please, if you're going through it right now, hang in there and be persistent. If you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. It means a lot to me. This episode took hours to research and record, and you subscribing really helps give me that encouragement I need to keep making these videos, so thank you. Also, we launched a private Facebook group for people who love talking money and helping others learn about finances. Please feel free to join, and you can help craft exactly what this community is going to look like. We're already up to about 250 members. All right, as always, I'm Rich, and until next time.